All right, welcome back for part 4 of my presentation of my 21 days geopolymer experimentation, trying to replicate the masonry of the ancient temples of Peru, especially the site of Sacsayhuaman. So now we will start by looking at those two videos that are the next videos explaining this theory with the metal sheets. So if we do them on the ground and you see some gaps in between, you think, this is not the precision of the ancient civilization. But then when you put them on top of each other like this, the weight. Now the next one, and the point of those videos is to show you that the gaps might be large when they are on the ground, but as soon as you would stack the rock together to make the wall, the weight, the density of the rock is pushing down towards the ground, so the gap become even smaller and smaller, just like we see at the site of Sacsayhuaman. So if we do them on the ground rock and you see push towards the ground because it's very dense material, and then it would create. So let's continue with this presentation. Now I was trying another technique of the I was trying a quick release wood molding technique. This is a technique that I invented. I know it's small scale, it's just for a proof of concept. The next experiment I will go even larger scale, but there is that masonry in Peru where you find some perfect rectangle of different size, but they are almost perfect. So I tried this theory, which is only two blocks or two panel of wood on each side, and you have some stick that you insert inside to be able to make different form, or not different form, I mean different size of brick or of stone. And that's the exact same thing that you see on the rectangle masonry here in Peru. Previous one. And this bag and this little jar is just to have weight on each side of the mold. All right, so today we are May 12th, and I'm doing a long wall, and now I've just poured the second level. This mixture was a little bit more liquid than all the other previous one, and it's looking very good. So I'm thinking of going and doing more liquid mixture like this. So this is the setup. It's very basics. So I have four top of little cups on each side to hold the mold a little bit higher to be able to do a brick on top of the previous one. And this bag and this little jar is just to have weight on each side of the mold. So you saw the two stick inside? Those are made to move. So you make one stone that you can see right here in the middle. You can make three at the same time. You make one in the middle, one on this side, and one on the other side. And when you remove the stick, you will have a small brick to do the inside in between. So the gap created by the stick will actually be a stone. And that's what we see on the rectangle masonry of the ancient temples. All the stones are different form, not different form, sorry, different size, meaning this one maybe is, I don't know, 1 feet, then the other is 6 inch, then the other is 3 inch,
then we have 4 inch, then maybe you have 1 feet. They are not equal. So that way, they are earthquake proof. They will resist earthquake because they don't have the same resonance. So they will not pass the resonance of the earthquake very easily to one another. Now May 8th, again, this is the straight rectangle. Here, I think I'm explaining the quick release masonry, quick release molding.
Okay, May 8th. Now I'm going to try I call this the quick release mold, wood molding, because this part can be removed, it can be put in place, and then those guys I place inside, and I can choose the width. So if I want two equal on each side, I can put this perfectly in the center. If I want some different size, I can move them. So this is very nice to do the type of masonry that they are doing, because when I do those two, they will dry. I will remove this, and now I will have the two bricks on each side empty in the middle. So I will be able to pour in the middle. The solution will go and touch each side of the previous bricks that are already dry, and will create a perfect joint in between. So then I can take this, whoop, replicate, go on the side, go on this side, do a very long wall, and always do the same thing. Do two bricks on each side, leave a hole in the middle, and then I do the same thing on the next part. The tricky part of this experiment with this molding, because I don't have enough material, I'm using material that is already close to me, will be to do the second level. When I do the second level, how I will do it, I need to think about this. So let's do this.
So there you go. This was the explanation of the quick release wood molding. And here on the right, I explained that I'm not using the right type of wood because this wood is a composite wood, meaning tons of tiny piece of wood glued together. And when I applied the oil inside, because yes, I do apply oil inside, so when I pour the geopolymer and it dry, I can remove the pieces very easily and the geopolymer doesn't stick. Usually with regular wood it would work perfectly, but now because it's composite, the oil goes inside the wood and it's not as effective. So that's why my final result of this molding technique is not very beautiful, because when I was pouring the geopolymer, waiting for it to dry and removing the mold, sometimes it stick. So that's not very good. But I just wanted to show you this video and show you this technique so you have an idea. It's very small scale again. So I repeat, I will do larger scale in the future.
All right, so today we are the 12th, May 12th, and I'm doing a long wall, and now I've just poured the second level. This mixture was a little bit more liquid than all the other previous one, and it's looking very good. So I'm thinking of going and doing more liquid mixture like this. So this is the set.
All right, let's continue. Now we are at the conclusion. This is what conclude my 21 days experimentation, but keep on watching because this is the fun part. This is the part where we see all the results. So those are all the best samples that I've made during the 21 day. Here you see a little granite, not granite, sorry, andesite geopolymer, and we have some sandstones and more andesite, sandstone. And if you've watched the other parts of this presentation of my 21-day experimentation, you know I've made a couple mistakes. So the geopolymeration wasn't perfect, meaning the crystallization, meaning how hard the geopolymer would become, wasn't perfect. So there is not one sample over here that would resist a strong compression test. But still, the hardest sample was this one, this one. But in order, it was this one, and this one. And then you have this one was quite hard. This one was quite hard, but they were not the perfect geopolymer because I've made some mistake at the beginning. I made some mistake with the natron, and I have also made some mistake when I went and pick up the materials for the andesite. I forgot to collect some kaolinite clay. I didn't collect the kaolinite clay, and that's a very important part for the andesite recipe. In the sandstone recipe, the weathered sandstone already have some kaolinite clay inside. So look at this. This is the result of the 21-day experimentation trying to replicate the masonry of Sacsayhuaman. Here we have the theory made on the ground with metal plates. This is very, very similar. And you guys cannot see it from that angle, but there's the 3D bubble effect, meaning from the joint going up the stone, there's a little bulge right here, little bulge all the way. There's a little bulge on each side, because when you insert the metal plate in the geopolymer, it will actually drag down the geopolymer inside, and this is what is doing the little bulge, the little 3D effect. So this is the best sample. It's beautiful. It's flat. It's very smooth. Then you remember at the beginning I did it with cardboard. This was the result. Then again with metal plate. This is very, very, very similar also. The texture is a little bit weird on the facade because this geopolymer recipe that I've done that day wasn't that good. And then we have the freestyle theory, meaning doing it all by hand, one by one. And that way, it looks good also, but I don't know if it's possible to do on large scale. Still need to experiment. The best way to learn is to experiment. Let's continue. Now, here is the straight rectangle masonry. Like I was telling you guys, look, the geopolymers stick to the surface many times, here, here, here. So when I removed the molding, the geopolymer cracked and went with the molding. But just look at the bottom row, because it worked very well at the bottom row. Maybe because I've just applied the oil, maybe because the geopolymer recipe was better. But this is good looking, and it's a very fast process. If we do it large scale, it's possible also. And you have the different shape. Sometimes you have a little form like this. It's like a lock, we could say. I saw this on many walls also. So you can tell here the white substance, probably the lime powder coming out of the geopolymer. And this is the freestyle technique also, meaning all done by hand. So those two are made with the quick release mold, and this was done completely by hand. Conclusion. um, this video cannot be loaded. It's not a big problem. It was just showing the samples. Those are all my notes that I took during this experiment. So I was always keeping the quantity of the recipe that I was doing that day. So I've done tons of recipe, as you can tell over here, tons of different concentration of andesite, of sandstone. I was trying to come up with the best of all the best geopolymer recipe, but now I know that I've made some mistake at the beginning. Still, the concept is very good to look at the molding technique. The best recipe was this one. This is the all the final samples together with the metal sheets. So as you can tell, I'm using very little material. So the ancient civilization would have been able to use those materials because I repeat, Peru is one of the largest producer of copper. So they would have been able to use copper to make those thin plate on on a way larger scale. But I mean, look, it's only metal plates. You make maybe 30 plates, so you make 10 long plates, you make 10 medium plates, and you make 10 small plates. And with those, you can bend them in every shape or form that you can imagine. And this characteristic of the metal sheet, to me, it's exactly the same as how a snake acts. It's flexible, bendable. It can retake its original shape. You can bend it in millions of form and make millions of unique shape. So maybe this is what the ancient civilization were trying to tell us when they've put so many snake on their masonry. They were trying to tell us, hey, if you want to replicate the masonry, you need to use a material that is bendable, that is flexible, just like a snake. So you will be able to reuse over and over again. So here you can have a last look at the samples. I then went and did a little street presentation to share the knowledge with the people in Cusco with that board. So the conclusion, I wasn't able to find a good geopolymer recipe, and now I know why. Because I made a little mistake with the sodium bicarbonate. I should have used sodium carbonate. So it's a little mistake when I was doing my natron. Number two, the ground preparation theory is by far the best one that can replicate the perfect joints, the bubble effect, the smooth edge, and all unique shapes. What we are lacking here is a way larger scale. This is what I plan to do in the future, a way larger scale experiment, and also explaining the knobs. Why do we find some concave and convex knobs? I think we will find the answer when we do the experiment on a larger scale because we will need those knobs in order to lift those rocks and to hold them in place on the wall during the construction. Number three, I wasn't able to replicate the knobs because too small scale, but I still have a theory of their original function. And I explained their original function in my video of the anomalies of the Peru temples. So what is next? Let's continue asking questions and scale up this experimentation. Merci, thank you, gracias, sulpai, yuhum botik kamoj chawi. Those are language that I've learned in my 2 years travel in Central and South America. You remember probably the three first one. We have French, English, Spanish. Then we have Quechua here in Peru. We have Yuhum Botik from Maya Yucatec. And then we have Kamoj Chawi, that is Maya Tzotzil. Muchísimas gracias para escuchar. Sorry for the guy outside Here in Peru, where I am right now, it's like a weird neighborhood, and there's all kinds of people walking in the neighborhood with microphone. But what I want to say is a big thank you for listening. The four parts of this presentation of my 21 days experimentation on geopolymer, and you can follow me on YouTube for more knowledge of the ancient sites. There's lots of knowledge coming to this page, and in the videos of the ancient sites, because I visited many, many, many ancient sites, especially here in Peru. I share a lot of knowledge, but it's hidden in the video. So it will be shared only with the one that are watching the whole video, meaning the one that are seeking this knowledge. So thank you for listening. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, now it's a good time. Leave a like, leave a little comment, say something. If you have a question, ask me the question. And let's grow together in that beautiful knowledge of the ancient civilization. Talk to you soon.